Today's video actually came about because of a comment that someone left on one of the videos. I don't remember who it was who left the comment or even which video it was, but it stuck in my brain. And I finally got a chance to try out this little tidbit, and oh my God, I love it. So whoever it was who suggested the wire guardians for use with bead weaving, I love how this looks and how secure it is. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. You know how when you're attaching a metal closure to a bead weaving piece, I usually will do a loop of seed beads or a loop of thread that attaches the bead weaving portion to the clasp portion. Well, they make something called a wire guardian, and it was originally intended for if you're using beading wire like Bead-A-Long or Soft Flex and you're doing some stringing, that beading wire will work with this wire guardian, but it also works with your beading thread. Meaning Fireline or 1G or Hannah thread or whatever you're using. You can get a needle through there. I'm using a size 11 needle as I'm going to show you this demo. And so I know the 11 will work. I know a 12 will work. I haven't tried it with a 10 yet. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure, but I know the 11 works. So it's literally what it sounds like. It's a piece of wire. It's a U-shaped piece of wire that goes across the metal part of the clasp and protects your thread from the abrasion of the clasp moving across that thread. Let me bring you in closer here so that we can look at exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so this little U-shaped piece is the wire guardian. And what it is on either side here, and I don't know, we're going to get in real close and I'm going to see, but you can see that I kind of poked this, the tip of this awl into a little channel here. It's actually basically a tube that then opens up for this back portion. So on this back portion, there is an indented channel. So think of, well, so the Olympics just happened. So I'm thinking of the half pipe, you know, or the bobsled, that kind of U-shaped channel. That's what's this back end part. And then on the other half of the wire guardian is also, again, one of those enclosed, more tunnel type spots. So what you do is, and I've already done it on this side, look what a pretty elegant ending this is right here. The reason I decided to play with this wire guardian is because I wanted to attach this clasp to this bracelet. If I had just stitched through the hole in the clasp, that means this clasp would sit sideways to the bracelet. So the way to get around that is to instead stitch through a jump ring. And that's what I've got right there, is there's a jump ring attached right there. The reason I do not like to stitch into a jump ring with just my thread is because a jump ring does have, you know, that spot where the two ends meet up. And whenever I try to use beading thread in a jump ring, that thread always manages to find that little tiny spot where the two ends of your jump ring come together and it pulls out. I'm cursed that way. So I don't like to stitch thread straight into a jump ring. Well, by using the wire guardian, now the wire guardian is what is attaching the jump ring to the bead weaving, and your thread comes up through the tunnel. And see here, you can see it along that little half pipe part that I talked about. You can see the dark section right there. And then it goes back into the little tunnel on the other side. And so now that thread is all protected from the opening in your jump ring. I think this is brilliant. I think it's pretty looking. I like the visual of how elegant that closure is. It does add a little bit of extra length here. So it adds about an extra, between the jump ring and the wire guardian, it adds just a little bit over a 1/4 inch of length to your closure part. So you just have to take that into account when you're figuring out your length for your bracelet. But I really like it. And so you're going to see me using this a lot more in my bead woven pieces. I'm obviously going to add these wire guardians to our website at jillwisemandesigns.com. I will pop a link up in the corner there under the eye that will take you directly to where the wire guardians are in our online store. I will also have that link down in the product description, or not the product, the video description down below. So you can find the link to get those warrior guardians either way. They're also not expensive at all, which is another really nice thing because it's a simple but very elegant way to make a really pretty closure. So how are you actually going to use it? Let's do the other side of this piece here. Okay, so let's actually get this attached to this bead weaving. Let me show you how it all works. So over here, I've already attached the jump ring to the toggle bar end of my closure. And I've got my thread coming out the end of my bracelet over here. So what I'm going to do is pick up 3 beads. I'm going to pass it through one end of my wire guardian. So that's that little tube right there. Passing it through. And actually, it's going to be oriented this direction. And then we want to make sure to go ahead and attach this jump ring inside the wire guardian before we stitch it all down. The other option would be to attach the jump ring to the wire guardian. You'd have to open up the jump ring and attach it that way afterwards. Either way is fine. I just have gotten in the habit of doing it this way. So now I'm going to pass the thread through that jump ring. It's going to sit right along that channel, that little half pipe channel. And then I'm going to pass down through the tube on the opposite side. I want to make sure that when I tighten all this down, and it might not even tighten perfectly now, right the second it is, but it's not that important that it sits right in that channel right the second, the thread. But once you tighten it all down, you want to make sure it is. So now I'm picking up 3 beads for the other side of the attachment here. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and attach it right through these 2 beads on the end. So now here's where, as I tighten all this down, I want to make sure that that thread is sitting in that channel. And ideally what will happen is you will not see it unless you look right there. You'll have to kind of pull it on its edge to see that thread there. Now, because this is a attachment point, it still holds up with my usual rule of thumb that I want 3 passes of thread through there. So that was the attachment, and now we're going to reinforce that whole thread path twice. So you'll just navigate over to the other side of that bracelet end. And then again, pass up through those 3 seed beads. This also gives you a chance to tighten up any spots if it was loose when you did that initial attachment. So I just went up the little pipe section of that wire guardian, through the jump ring, down the pipe section on the other side. As I tighten, I'm making sure, see how that caught on my toggle bar? I'm looking for that as I do that. And I want to make sure that when that tightens down, it tightens down in that channel. All right, and then down through the 3 seed beads on the other side. This is where you can see as I was tightening all this up, it got a little loosey-goosey on me. So again, that's why the reinforcement is awesome, because it lets you fix that. And then navigate back to the other side. And so I would just do one more reinforcement path and then end off my thread. At that point, you have a really secure, beautiful looking, oriented properly, it kind of wants to go this way, closure, and it's just gorgeous. So I really like these wire guardians, and it's definitely something that you'll see me using more in the videos. I think it's worth it. I mean, it's just a little bit of extra protection for your thread. You're not going to have as much wear and tear as that clasp moves around. You know how I say that the clasp is your point of most wear and tear? Well, that's wise, because your clasp is always moving when you're taking it off, putting it on. It's usually on the bottom, so it's getting jiggled around a lot. That wire guardian helps keep that thread pristine because it's taking the abuse instead of your thread. I think it's a good thing. Happy beading.